Hey everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at two of Mattel's DC Comics 4-inch Multiverse figures, with the Catwoman figure based on her appearance in the Arkham City video game, and Knightfall Batman based on his appearance in the Arkham Origins video game. Now, both of these figures have been out for some time. I've had these figures for a couple months. They've just been sitting on my shelf waiting for me to review them, and I just hadn't gotten around to it. I had been noticing that the figures had started to show up more on shelves recently. They've been kind of trickling out, so I figured now was a good time to go on and review them. Now, both these figures come packaged in the same style of packaging we've been seeing with all the 4-inch Multiverse figures. You've got that kind of orangey card back. It tells us up at the top that they're highly detailed and authentic and for adult collectors. Then you've got the DC Comics Multiverse logo along with the video game logos for each figure. Then off to the side you've got some artwork from the games for each character, and the figures are clearly displayed on the card backs. And then finally down below you have the name of the characters. On the back of the packaging for these, you again have the video game logos, the artwork for each of the characters, you have a brief bio for the Multiverse line, and then you have some brief statistics for each of the characters. And then finally we see a couple other figures that were released in the wave. Now, I've seen all of these except for that orange variant, Mr. Freeze. I've yet to see that one on shelves. Okay, so let's get these open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside of the packaging. Now, I just want to point out, even though I said that these figures are starting to show up a little bit more on shelves, as you probably know, this 4-inch line is pretty much defunct from Mattel. Mattel has announced that a couple times at Toy Fair and at like Comic-Con and stuff. So even though some of these figures are still getting released, don't really expect to see anything new from this line in the 4-inch scale. So we'll start off and we'll take a look at Catwoman. Catwoman comes with two accessories. So she comes with her whip, and this is done with that kind of rubbery material, so you've got a lot of flexibility with it. And you've got the little pieces at the end here, and then you have the handle, the thicker end, on the other side. And she holds it in her right hand, and you can just slide it in and she holds it pretty good. Though again, being that soft rubber material, you do have to kind of push it, but once you get it in there, she does hold it pretty good. Then we get, and this is the first time I've seen this with this line, and I actually kind of like these. It would have been cool if we'd gotten these with all the figures in the line. She comes with a little figure stand, so you've got the little holes on the bottom of the feet. It's got one peg, and you just put it on there so it helps her stand. She actually stands pretty good without it. She does have the little heels, but I haven't had too much of a problem getting her to stand. Of course, as I say that, she's going to fall over. But see, she does actually stand pretty good even without the stand. But I do like this little stand because it doesn't take up a lot of space. So, you know, and it just gives the figure extra support. So it would have been cool if we had seen that with all the figures and not just Catwoman. So the figure itself is okay. I don't really like how they did the face with these little triangles that come down off of the mask. I think what they were going for is in the game you can see her hair kind of come out from underneath the mask, and I think that's the effect they were trying to do, but it really doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like it's hair. It just looks like a bad paint job on the mask. I do like the sculpting of the cat ears, and you've got the little strap sculpted going around the head. I don't like that the goggles are covering her eyes. I think it would have been better if it had been up on her forehead, kind of like you see her in most of the video game. The lenses on the glasses are painted with a dark red, and then she has a very bright red lipstick. Skin tone is decent on the figure. She's got the little choker chain, which again, not a whole lot of detail there. Little silver paint on the amulet or whatever it is she's wearing. And then you've got gray for the zipper. I do like the sculpting detail on the outfit to give it that leather look. And even on the boots, I think they did a nice job with the sculpting there. Articulation is pretty basic with this. You can turn the head to the left and the right. The collar does limit some of the head turning, so that's about as far as you can turn the head. There's no back or forth movement with the head. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder, so she can get her arm out good, and she's got good rotation there at the arm. She does have a bicep swivel, single hinged elbow, so she can bend her elbow about that much, and then she has swivels at the glove cuff. She has a waist swivel, and then the legs, you basically just have that kind of T-crotch design, so she can't do the splits. You can't get the leg forward, and you can do the leg back. She has a thigh swivel. single hinged knee so she can bend her knee about that much, and then no articulation below the knee, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of her feet. So Knightfall Batman has no accessories at all. So for the figure itself, I would say, you know, this is a pretty basic looking figure. It's not bad looking. I would have liked to see maybe a little more in the way of paint detail. So like the blue portions of the costume are done with a very dark, almost navy type blue, but it looks more like plastic than armor. So I would have liked a little more detail there. You've got the little yellow here in the midsection. You've got the red on the eyes. The sculpting on the mask isn't too bad. And then the shoulder piece is done with a kind of a softer rubber material. It's not as soft as the cape itself, but it is it's, you know, it's not a hard plastic. And this piece, this shoulder piece, is a separate piece. It looks like it's just glued onto the figure. I do like the paint that they used here on the torso section, this gold metallic paint, and then the silver on this chainmail. And I like the sculpting detail on the chainmail. I think that looks pretty good. The gauntlets have decent sculpting, but again, very basic paint applications with the bright yellow and the dark blue. As with the belt, I do like the sculpting on the belt, the utility belt with the pouches, and then on this thigh belt, I think that looks good. But again, a very bright yellow that they've used. And then for the legs, you've just got the basic black. You do have these pieces that are sculpted off the back of his thigh, like you see in the comics and the video game and everything. So articulation, once again, is pretty basic. You can turn the head to the left and the right. Has no up or down movement with the head. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder, so he can get his arm out good, and he's got pretty good rotation there. He does not have a bicep swivel. He has a single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much, and then he has swivels on the hands, but no hinges or anything on the wrists. He does have a midsection rotation there. He's got hinges on the legs, so he can do the splits, and he can get his leg forward pretty good. Can't really do his leg back. He has a thigh swivel, single hinged knee, so he can only bend his knee about that much, and then no ankle articulation at all, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Batman stands up close to 4.5 inches tall if you count to the tip of his ears. Catwoman is closer to about 4 1/4 inches. Here's a comparison of Catwoman with the Batman Returns movie Catwoman, and then here's a comparison with some other Bat villains from this line. Batman, here's a comparison with the Bane figure from the line, the Azrael figure from this line, and finally some other Batman figures from this line. Okay, so that's my review. So overall I would say neither of these figures are super articulated or super detailed as far as the paint applications go, but that's not too surprising if you've been collecting any of the figures in this line. But still overall I kind of like these figures. I like the Knightfall Batman. I always like the design of that costume, and Catwoman is always a nice figure to have to your collection. Now, as I mentioned before, this line has pretty much come to an end as far as the 4-inch scale goes, but you can still probably find these figures if you look around at places like Target and Toys R Us and stuff. So we'll have a full gallery of images up at toynewseye.com. There'll be a link in the description below. As always, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Also, if you haven't already, please follow me on my Facebook and or Twitter pages. I'll have links to those in the video description as well. And until next time, I'll catch you later.